In the horse racing business, they like to say that success breeds success. Well, you will not get any argument from Honda on that. The Civic has been Canada's best-selling car for almost 20 years. They have sold over 2 million since the original Civic landed on our shores 40 years ago. Well, back then, they had about 750 buyers. Last year, Honda sold about 65,000 Civics. And you know, this 10th generation has been getting lots of attention over the last 20 months. The introduction of the sedan, the coupe, the hatchback, the SI. And this week, we're going to check out the Civic that is the cherry atop the cake. It is the most powerful Civic to date, and they're calling it the Type R.
Well, today is special because of now you get to see the iconic, highly anticipated Type R. We're never going to bring it out, and then with this 10th generation, the way it's been engineered, it's now ready for North America, and we have a lot of people waiting for this car.
The Type R has been around globally around the market, especially in Japan and Europe, since I believe '96. It's taken us about 20 years to get here, and the reason for that really is just based on 10th generation Civic is actually a globalized platform. And for that, it kind of enables us to be able to create a vehicle that meets all the regulations across the world, including Canada, and to be able to bring it here to this part.
We start off with a very solid chassis that we put on the Civic 5-door, and then we've beefed it up even more. So on top of all the tightness and the structurality that we put into the vehicle, what we've now done is put in one of the most powerful Civic engines ever built. It's a 2-liter turbo with a VTEC and variable timing control. It produces 305 horsepower with 295 pounds of torque, and that torque comes in at 2,500 RPM. So right off the bat, the acceleration sensation is unbelievable.
It's been great, obviously, especially working on this product myself. I've always wanted a Type R, and now finally it's here. The enthusiasm on it just between our sales, our customer base, as well as, within the company, it's just been great.
If you saw this Type R at an auto show, you'd swear it was a concept. I mean, it's just loaded with bling. That includes this rear spoiler. I know you STI people might get upset with me, but I wish you could take it off when you're going for groceries, but you can't. However, the spoiler and a lot of other features on this vehicle are not just there to be cool, they're actually functional. And I know just the man who can tell us why.
Yeah, I mean, some people look at this thing and goes, man, that's over the top, but it's actually very functional. Keep in mind that this vehicle is made for the track. And at that speed, you want as much downforce as possible. So what happens in a high-speed environment is the air goes, for instance, above the roof, and if you don't have something to let the air flow out, you create some drag at the rear end. So what you have to do then is you need something like a spoiler of this size, which actually clears the window as well, to let the air flow and go off on the deck there, and then that keeps the drag from happening. Now, to enhance that even more, these little knobs are also functional. Yes, they don't look like much, but they're Vortex Generators. So when you're going high speed, air sticks to the roof, and these things kind of break it up, lifts it up in the air, hits this thing, and away it goes. And that's how you keep the air from dragging the car back. And there's a lot of race cars that does this. For instance, F1 cars, if you take a look, they've got a massive, massive rear spoiler, and that's the reason why they do that.
Okay, one pet peeve so far with the Type R, and that is on the display screen. You've heard me say this about Hondas before. It's that touch screen volume drives me nuts. But Honda's been listening, not just to me, but to a lot of people, and they're going back to the knobs. But right now, it's on the Type R. But then again, with this engine, who's going to be listening to the radio anyway?
Type R is obviously, the ultimate in Civic performance. It stands at the pinnacle of all our Civic brand. We have a Type R with 306 horsepower, 295 foot-pound torque, a lot of power, but if you're not up for it, we still have the SI as well as the mainstream Civic. So again, the Civic Type R is finally here, and I think all the Canadians are super, stoked about it, super excited.
We've only had a few hours behind the wheel of this Type R, and it's all been at the track. But you know that Art Graham will have a more in-depth look on a future test drive. And I do know that Russ Bond is dying to get this baby on the track on the 2-minute test drive. But you know, for Honda, this is its strongest Civic lineup in its history. They believe that's enough to keep the Civic as the #1 car in Canada. And you know, it's hard to argue with that. That's it for now. We'll see you next time out as we continue to bring you more stories about cars and the people who drive them.